This is The Bracketologists, your home for March Madness coverage, presented by Anchor.
We are inching closer and closer to March, but the sights, sounds, and feelings seem to be already here.
How's it going, guys? I'm Brandon Matula.
And I'm Thomas Hicks.
And this is The Bracketologist, your home for March Madness coverage presented by Anchor. This is our first weekend preview episode. I'm pumped to get into it. We got a lot of content today just for y'all. How are you feeling, Tommy? Are you excited?
Of course, I'm always excited. Today is the 24th of February. So we're only getting closer and closer to March. And with that comes a lot of movement in March Madness and basketball. And man, it's just a good time of year. Spring, sun's starting to come out again, and everyone's just kind of in a good mood. So as we get closer to that, we are going to keep you guys obviously updated with March Madness. And today we have a couple different topics for y'all. We're going to start with our reactions of a few games, kind of give you guys what we think could be the implications of them, and what we think will happen post these games. And then after that, we're going to transition into some potential bracket movements, which will be led by Brandon. He's going to kind of run through a few rankings, and we're going to discuss if that's too high, too low, just right. And then we're going to make our big picks for the weekend. So a lot of cool games this weekend. A lot of games that personally, and I know Brandon agrees with this, that are going to have a big impact on the tournament. So every weekend that we get closer and closer to March, the games are going to have a big impact, and this one's big. This one's really big. So it's going to be an exciting episode for sure.
Absolutely. We got 11 games to cover for the predictions, and then we're going over 4 games from this week. So a lot of content for you guys. To conclude the show, Tommy and I will be selecting a team to watch this weekend. This is not necessarily a who's hot pick, kind of like from the last episode. It's more so a team to watch so that we can better predict what this team will do in the month of March, more specifically the tournament. Because these last 2 weeks of February, like this week and then the week before, and then next week, the first week of March, are a really big teller of a team's potential of getting things done and having a successful tournament. Yes. So we're into that, and I'm ready to jump into things. Are you ready for this, Tommy?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be a fun episode. A lot of analyzing for sure. So let's not waste any time and get right on into it.
Absolutely. Let's react to some games from this week. So we'll start with number 10 Baylor at Oklahoma State. This game, man, we've had a lot of overtime games. Mm-hmm. Like that has been like I can't even count how many overtime games we've had these past few weeks. You had Houston, and then Houston and Wichita State. And then you had Providence and Xavier just last night, and then Providence and Butler the other night. Like just, man, a lot of overtime games. But we're going to jump into this one first. Baylor slipped out 66-64. Keep in mind, this game was at Stillwater, home court for the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Cowboys are not projected in any brackets right now. They're kind of at the bottom of the conference. So this was a concerning close game for Baylor. Tommy, was there anything that really stuck out to you with this game?
Yeah, so I mean, I had a fun time watching it. Brandon and I were both born and raised in Texas, so Baylor is a team. Baylor's a team that comes up a lot. It's in conversation for sure, but you never really know which. It's always been the women's basketball team. So first and foremost, I'm just happy to see that the men's basketball team is thriving, and that might be Baylor's big sport. They had RG3 for football, but other than that, it's kind of hard to name. Okay, what's Baylor? What's their? I'm glad to see that the basketball is thriving in that school. But thriving aside, it was very concerning for me to see how close the score was, and that it did go in time, especially since Baylor. I know they have a lot of pressure on them with winning the championship last year, but that's just tough. That's tough for Baylor to go out, and they got the dub, right. that's all that matters at the end of the day. You got the win, but by 2 points, it is a little concerning. And their March Madness ranking is dropping like pretty heavily. I remember they were like first at one point. Now they're 10th, and so that's always a little alarming. But the thing is, they've got players who want to win. They've got players who want to be there, and they have that recent finals winning experience. So that doesn't really concern me. They did take a lot of shots and they missed a lot of shots. 36% from the field goal isn't horrible, but 25 for 68 does look pretty bad on paper. I do like their 3-point percentage. The 3 points, they took 29, they only made 9, but I think that's pretty good for Baylor. I think they're moving in the right direction because they haven't been a super big 3-point heavy team in recent games. So I do like that a lot, as well as their free throw percentage. They're making almost all of their free throws, and that makes me really happy to see. So, I love Oklahoma State. That was actually my team to take it all last year with football. So I was really, I like Oklahoma State as well, but it makes me a little more comfortable that Baylor could make, a big old ruckus into the tournament. Brandon, what did you think?
Yeah. Good analysis there.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a little bit concerning for me. I mean, this Baylor team hasn't had a very good February. I mean, they lost at Kansas. I mean, nobody's going to beat Kansas at the Fog. That just doesn't happen very often. But the fact that they lost by, they lost 83-59, just a big margin there. Then they lose to Texas Tech on the road, and then had a close game against TCU. So got a good win there. But then also, and then this game comes up and they go to overtime with Oklahoma State, a team that's near the bottom, third to last in the Big 12 conference right now. So very concerning for the Bears right now. They're currently projected to be a 2 seed right now in the southern region, the San Antonio region. So, man, I imagine if they can't get things together this Saturday, we'll talk about their matchup later against Kansas. If they can't get things together and put together a good performance, not necessarily winning it, because Kansas is number 5 in the country, it's going to be bad news Bears, like the movie. It's not going to be good. It's not looking good as far as them repeating and getting as far as they did last year. But I have faith that they can get back. It was a really great performance from Flagler. He came off the bench last year with that championship team. He had 29 points, 11 of 20 shooting. And yeah, so if he can keep on putting performances together like this going on, the Baylor Bears could be in good position, but this was definitely concerning, and they should almost take this as a loss because of how closely they played this poor team. So, they'll just need to go from there and just really need to start stacking some wins, especially in their last 2 or 3, because they play Kansas, Texas, and Iowa State, who's always a tough opponent. You can't overlook any of those guys. So they're going to have a tough last few games, and it's really going to show us how good they truly are. So that's our analysis for that. So as far as their seeding goes, they're currently projected in the latest projections by Joe Lunardi and ESPN. They're projected to be a 2 seed. I expect them to stay where they are right now. I mean, I think it's just right, but this weekend is going to be very telling of if they're going to fall, because if they lose to Kansas and they lose by as much as they did the last time, then man, I think you might need to put the Bears at a 3 seed. Yeah. But for Oklahoma State, I mean, nothing to say there. Good performance. All your hopes are in the Big 12 championship now, and your odds don't look too good there because you don't have Cade Cunningham anymore. But yeah, we'll see what else this Cowboys basketball squad is capable of. But a bid in the tournament is not looking likely right now. Let's talk about a matchup in the Big East. Number 8 Villanova at number 21 UConn. UConn edged them out 71-69. This, I didn't get to watch this game too closely, but I heard it was a dogfight. Great defense from both ends, and especially from Cole out of UConn. It was a tight game the whole way. I think there was about 10 lead changes, 10 to 15 lead changes. That's just a close game, and we've been getting a lot of these. And just a great win for UConn as they head into the month of March. We always know this UConn team to be a team that gets really hot around this time. Tommy, did you have any notes on this game?
Yeah, so Tyler Poley made the three, and you'll have to excuse me if I'm not pronouncing that correct, but Tyler Poley, UConn, they're down, not by a crazy amount. They're only down by one, or excuse me, by three. It's because it's 69-65, and then Tyler Poley makes it three, makes it go up 69-68. And I think that's more or less, and the reason I bring that up and I make that important in this conversation is because I think that's more or less what we're going to see here from UConn. Just these deep, heavy, a lot of pressure on them. 3 points, like 3-pointers. Like I think we're going to see a lot of clutch points from UConn, because I feel like this is kind of what UConn's been good at for the past couple of years, and what they decide that they want to practice on is, okay, who's going to have the ball in the last minute? How are we going to get in the hoop? It's going to be a three, a layup, a dunk. And so because I think UConn goes in and they practice the little things, I think UConn could be a sleeper team in the tournament. I know they're ranked pretty low, which is still a very high accomplishment compared to all the college basketball teams out there. They're just ranked pretty low in the AP top 25, but still UConn, like I feel like they practice these shots. I'm not there in practice. I don't go to UConn, but I can only imagine that they practice these type of games, these type of shots. And I'm proud of them, 46% from the field goal and a good 3-point percentage too as well, making almost all their free throws. I have no complaints as far as UConn goes. I'm proud of Villanova too, like another very good team. I think they go really deep in the tournament this year. That's a discussion for a later time. But yeah, I'm proud of Villanova too. But I gotta give it to UConn. I think they practice these type of games. And that being said, who's stopping them? What is their limit? What is their potential in the tournament? So those are my thoughts kind of from this game. What did you think, Brandon?
Yeah, I have the exact same thoughts as you do. UConn practices for these moments, and it's going to really help them as they transition into the month of March. Currently, they are projected to be a 5 seed in Joe Lunardi's ESPN bracket. They're currently placed in the Midwest, the Chicago region, as a 5 seed. And honestly, just looking at Houston, the way they've been performing, I think UConn is going to take that 4 spot from Houston, because they took a big win over a top 10 team. And I just think that it's appropriate to put UConn at a 4 seed. So they're pretty much a top 16 team. That's what I'm saying here, because top 4 seeds, that's 16 teams. So UConn is definitely in that top 16 in my eyes. They should make a deep run. I'm excited to see what they do. As for Villanova, I wouldn't be too disappointed if I was a Villanova guy. This was a tight game against a good basketball team on the road. Just get them in the tournament. And if you can't do that, then their current seeding at a 3, there might need to be discussion to move them back a little bit, maybe a different 3 seed in a different region. But as of right now, I think they should stay. I think their seeding is just right. But as for UConn's, it needs to be going up. They need to be higher up than a 5 seed in my eyes.
Yeah.
It's time for them to get a move on. But let's go ahead and go into last night's games. Wednesday night, we're going to check out Providence and Xavier. This was a tight game, triple overtime. I told you there's been a theme of overtime games this season, and this did not fall short of that trend. Providence won 99-92, and I just saw that it was an absolute slugfest all around. It was just but a slugfest in the best way possible, like an offensive slugfest. There was just no great defense. Like it was just open shot after open shot, clutch three after clutch three, descended to more overtimes. But one performance I have to highlight was Jared Bynum. I watched from the second half all the way to third overtime. Jared Bynum had 27 points. I got to see how many minutes he had. Like that's definitely something I need to take into account here. But I mean, he's a 5'10" guard. I mean, this guy has some heart, and I saw him limping at the end of the game when they had it under control while they were up by 7. And gosh, that's just the grit that you want to see in the month of March, especially from one of your best players on the team, averaging 13 points on the year, 45% shooting, and 4 assists. So I'm excited for this Providence team. We talked about last show how we felt that their ranking at 11 was a little bit unfair, but I think this game definitely is going to get the attention of the committee. What did you think of this matchup, Tommy?
Yeah, I thought the exact same thing. I really wanted to highlight Jared Bynum. He did incredible. Really fun to watch that guy play. Like he's going to be a big name in this tournament. You know, he's going to be a big name. But the question is, how long will he be a big name for? You know, how long will Providence have this reign in the March Madness tournament? And I think that's my biggest question now, because they did go into overtime. And granted, Xavier, that's a basketball school. You know, like they're 17-10 for the year, which is incredible. But they're a basketball school. Like their basketball team is definitely, you know, if you go to Xavier, you're going to go to a couple basketball games, right? That's what you go and watch. And so that being said, I don't think we, you know, get too upset that it was a somewhat close game into triple overtime. But Providence, I do hope they go far. You know, once again, they're one of those smaller schools that you don't hear. They're not the big, you know, Texas Tech, or Duke, Kentucky. But I think they know that, and they got that chip on their shoulder, like I was saying last week. So I'm proud of Providence. Also proud of Xavier. They put up a good fight. The stats there, you know, they're a little. I'm a little wary of them. You know, Providence is definitely the better team as far as stats go, and obviously, you know, that didn't lie here in the game. But yeah, Jared Bynum, I hope we continue to hear his name throughout the tournament. And my biggest question now is, how long will we hear his name in the tournament? Because they're going to make it. So, yeah, fun game to watch, and I'm excited to see how far Providence can go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's just go ahead and jump into their seedings currently. So Xavier is at a 7 seed. I think that's a fair assessment. I think that's just right for now. Before this game, because this bracket came out the 22nd, this game was played on the 23rd. If anything, you could move them up, but I mean, they lost at the end of the day, so that doesn't really constitute moving up in the seedings. But definitely be looking for Xavier, because they gave Providence a tough go. And if I was an Xavier fan, I'd be very proud right now. These are the type of performances you like to see as you head into the month of March. As for Providence, I would not look at this slim win as a negative in the slightest. It's going to be these types of games that are going to prepare you for March. And I'm excited to see what they do. They're currently placed at a 4 seed, and I think for now, I think that's just right. They need to prove to me otherwise to be placed at a 3 seed. But for now, I got to keep them at a 4. If they win the ACC, you got to, I mean, not the ACC, the Big East. If they win the Big East, you got to put them at a 2 seed, because the Big East is really tough this year. It's really lived up to its name of being a power conference for college basketball. And because you got teams like UConn, and you got Villanova, and then you got 4 really powerful teams, including Creighton. So 5th team. So you got 5 projected teams in the tournament right now, and they're all slotted to go really far. So I'm excited for the Big East as a whole. And yeah, I'm really happy with the performances on both sides, and I'm looking forward to watching them in the month of March. Let's go ahead and transition to our last game that we're going to recap, and then we're going to get into some predictions. Let's talk about LSU at number 6, Kentucky. This game was last night. Kentucky edged it out Tommy, did you have any thoughts on this game? I want to hear your insight because I know you love those Wildcats.
Yeah, that's definitely been my favorite team my whole life, the Wildcats, because of John Wall. If you guys know me in life, I'm the biggest John Wall fan you could ever meet. But okay, Kentucky, I am scared. Like I was saying before, it's hard for me to say negative things about this team because I love them so much, but they scare me every single week. I'm like, okay, are they going to survive? And they more or less scared me this week too. I mean, LSU could be a sleeper team, probably not, could be, but you got to be beating this team by a lot if you're ranked 6th or 23-5. You got to beat this 19-19 by quite a bit. And so the fact that it was as close as it was with 5 points, I don't know. I'm still getting nervous. The stats are there though. Kentucky really needs to get that 3-point percentage up. Field goal percentage is good, and I'm proud of their free throws as well. Not as proud as I should be, but for making 23 out of 32, I can't complain too much with that because Kentucky, it seems like every year they kind of switch between a shooting team and a defensive team. And I think this year we might have a defensive Kentucky team, which could take them far, right? Because in the past, we've had defensive Kentucky teams. They went pretty far in the tournament compared to very guard-heavy teams, like when we had Bledsoe, Wall, and Cousins. So, and Cousins wasn't a guard, but a point scoring, heavy team. Kentucky, here are my thoughts. That you're scaring me, but you still have time to be like, okay, we're gonna prove the haters and the doubters wrong. We're gonna go far in this tournament, and kind of get more chemistry. I feel like a lot of their players, if their chemistry was up a bit, because there are a lot of new faces on this Kentucky team, then what more could you ask for there? I do like. I think it's Keon, is how you pronounce it. Correct me if I'm wrong, of course. But Keon Brooks Jr. I like him a lot. The junior, he's a forward. He's a big kid. He's a big kid. I like watching him. I like seeing him out there. Ty Washington too is going to be a sleeper guard, so do not sleep on that man. He's going to be really good. And then Jacob Toppin, the forward, who's also a junior. We've got some players on here that kind of they know what they're doing. They're experienced. They come from basketball families, or they've been in the basketball, talks for a while, the NCAA basketball. But it's really just kind of bunkering down as far as Kentucky goes. Bunker down, and I'm excited to talk about this game with Arkansas. So we will get there for sure. But yeah, Kentucky, a little bit of a red flag, but I think the red flag can be taken down pretty easily if we just get a bigger score. The bigger differences between the score. So those are my thoughts on the game. What do you think of, Brandon?
Yeah, I agree. One thing I kind of want to note is that LSU is a good team. They may not be in the top 25 currently, but they are definitely projected to make the tournament. They're at a 6 seed right now. So in Joe Lenardi's eyes, he thinks that they're a top 24 team. So I truly think LSU deserves to stay at a 6 seed. I mean, they beat Kentucky earlier in the year. They beat him at LSU. Now they made the trip to Kentucky now, and they lose this game. So they split the season series. You can't get mad at LSU losing at Kentucky. I mean, it's just not. You don't have room for that, But you got to give them credit. But I think a 6 seed is good for them now. But man, I think they'll go down a little bit. In my eyes, I think they're a 6 seed, but I think maybe Xavier, who's at a 7 seed right below them in the same region, I think Xavier will take their spot at a 6 seed because I think their loss was a little bit more noble, a lot more close. But we'll have to see what the committee does and what Joe Lunardi does in his projections because that's who we're looking at here. But looking at Kentucky, I believe that they are currently a 2 seed in the Chicago region. I mean, this is a good win. I mean, the SEC is one of the toughest conferences in basketball. This was a warranted win. You can't get mad at Kentucky for winning this one close and being down at halftime. So, but just be watching them, though, because there's a really big game coming up, and we're going to get to that right now, actually. We're going to go ahead and transition into our games of the weekend. We're not going to take too much time to describe these. We're going to predict the score for each game. And then we're going to predict potential movement and how important these games are to each team, because all of these games are tournament teams. Maybe with the exception of USC Oregon. Oregon might be one of the first teams out, but even then, that it still has implications. But let's go ahead and get started. We'll start with Purdue and Michigan State. I'm personally going to take Michigan State. I'm taking the upset win. Yes, I know, but Michigan State is hungry right now. They do not want to get that 10th loss. That's just not something they need as of right now. Purdue is currently slotted at a 2 seed in Joe's bracket. I mean, good for them. But Michigan State is hungry. They need to make some moves. So I think Michigan State can pull this one out in a lowly scored one, 62-58. What do you think, Tommy?
This is good too, because we've been agreeing a lot. So I'm going to disagree. I'm going to go Purdue, just because they are the better team right now. I think Michigan State puts up a good game, but I do think Purdue comes out with the win. I think Jaden Ivey does not let Michigan State outshine, and that he scores a lot of buckets in this one. Although Michigan State is a good defensive team, so I think Jaden Ivey drops 20 and leads Purdue to win. Let's say I'm going to go. It's going to be a little bit close, nothing crazy. I'm going to go 70-63.
70-63. Nice. I can't find Michigan State on the bracket, but I can imagine. Yes. Oh, actually, I just found them they're at a 6 seed. They're on a downtrend. They were a higher seed, so they're looking to get back. Yeah. So this is going to be definitely a competitive game this weekend. Let's move to a game that, Tommy, I know you'll be watching. It'll be on CBS Saturday at 1:00 Central Time. Kentucky at Arkansas. Yep. Arkansas beat Auburn earlier this year. And, man, they're looking to take another big top 10 win at home. Tommy, who do you have in this one?
This one's tough, too, because I hate going against Arkansas because they always surprise me, but I do got to go Kentucky. All bias aside, I do have to go Kentucky, just because I do feel like they're a little more mature than this Arkansas team. And although this Arkansas team does have a lot of upperclassmen, I don't see Arkansas having the skill to beat Kentucky, but do they have the drive to beat Kentucky? And that is a clear yes. So it could happen, and it very well could happen, but skill-wise, maturity-wise, I think Kentucky does pull this out. Obviously, it's hard to go against Kentucky, especially with all the players that they have. So it is a little scary to say, but yeah, I got to go with my gut here. I do have Kentucky, and I think if Kentucky wins, they win by quite a bit. I don't think that they let Arkansas get too crazy close. I don't think they win by more than 20, but I do think they win by quite a bit. So let me go Kentucky beating Arkansas by 14. So we'll go Arkansas 60, Kentucky 74.
Okay. I'm going to go with Arkansas on this one, and I'm going to tell you why. This kid is named J.D. Note. I think that's how you pronounce it. He's averaging 19 points per game, and in his game against Auburn, he shot 7 of 20. 7 of 20. Keep that in mind. It's not a great shooting percentage, and he had 28 points that night. And obviously, he got a lot of free throws, and I think that's what's going to get this Kentucky team in trouble is foul trouble. It's tough to get in foul trouble on the road. So I think Arkansas is going to take this one pretty convincingly, actually. I think they're going to really stun the Wildcats, and I mean, this is good for the Wildcats in a way because it's going to make them hungry in that SEC tournament. So that's going to be exciting to watch. But I got Arkansas in this one. I'm going to go with them winning 75-68.
Okay.
Arkansas is going to shock the world again. Okay, let's go to another SEC matchup. Auburn at Tennessee. Auburn has not had a very good week.
Yeah.
And really not a really good month. I mean, they are at number 3, but they've played too many close games. They were losing to Ole Miss at one point last night, and lost to Florida a little bit earlier, and now they find themselves at Tennessee, who's historically a great basketball squad. Tommy, who do you have in this one?
I'm going to have some fun here. I'm going Tennessee. I am, and it kind of sounds like you are too. And I like Tennessee. I do like Kennedy Chandler. He's a good player. He's a dog. I think Auburn knows that a lot of people are going to choose Tennessee, so I think they're going to play their hardest. So I do think it'll be close, but I got to go Tennessee. Tennessee, I mean, say what you will, there's another sleeper team. And although they're a little bit fresh, they got a lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores. I mean, this team, guys, that they can put the ball in the basket. They're really good at that, and their defense is on top of the game. Like they're in my opinion, they're one of the best defensive teams in the NCAA. I think they're very slept on defensively. So, yeah, I got to go Tennessee beating Auburn. I know Auburn's coming into this game with everyone doubting them, but I still think Tennessee wins. That being said, Auburn's going to play their hardest. So that being said, I'm going to go high scoring. I'm going to go 83-81. Tennessee wins by a foul at the end, makes both of their free throws, and Auburn misses the shot to win.
That is a scary, specific prediction. I would love to see it come through. I agree with you. I think I'm going to take Tennessee as well. Auburn, I mean, we're talking about teams that are not passing the eye test right now. Auburn's not really passing my eye test as far as a team that can make it far. They might be able to get a good seed, but going far, I mean, there's a fine line of difference between that. So I got Tennessee taking this one for the same reasons you said. They got great scores. They play great defense. That's just one thing that you always can expect out of a Tennessee team is great defense. Mm-hmm. And I think it'll be on full display. Kennedy Chandler will need to pop a fuse, and that will be pretty likely since they're playing at home. So I got Tennessee in this one, 58-55. I think this one will be a really low-scoring game. Let's go ahead and move on. We got 8 more games. I love how many games we're talking about here.
Yeah.
I love it. But let's go to Duke and Syracuse. You look at this game, number 7 Duke at Syracuse, and you're like, Brandon, why would you pick this game? It's because Syracuse, all like UConn, what we discussed earlier, they always come out alive in the last week of February and the first few weeks of March, and then they sneak into the tournament, just like they did last year. They made it all the way to the Sweet 16. Tommy, who do you got in this game?
I have Duke, and you guys will see why I have them pretty confidently. We'll get to that later in the podcast as to why. I'm very excited to share that. But yeah, I've got Duke. I love Syracuse. I think Syracuse has some. They've always been very. They've been very court aware. I never see their players making too many mistakes, too many turnovers. And I like them for that. And they can pass the ball. They're a very unselfish team. But Duke, man, they've got that experience. They've got the and they know that continue to show people, hey, but we're not putting the coffin. We are still a top 3, probably even top 2 basketball program of all time as far as college basketball goes. So I do have Duke beating Syracuse. Once again, playing it safe here, and I'm going to go a pretty decent margin, but nothing crazy again. So I'll say by 11. So we'll go Duke. We'll go Syracuse 51, Duke 62.
Yep. I'm going to go with the same thing, just a different score margin, 71-61 in favor of Duke. I really like the Blue Devils right now. They're currently projected to be a 2 seed, rightfully so. I think that's just right. And if they win it, they could further solidify their stance. All right, let's go to a Big 12 matchup. Texas Tech at TCU. TCU, not ranked, but they are definitely in the running for making the tournament. Tommy, this Texas Tech team is hot right now.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Do you think they continue their hot streak, or do you think TCU ends it?
Gosh, I just love Tech. I do. I love Tech right now. I think they're the most well, maybe not the most. That's a big word, especially in college basketball. But one of the most underrated college basketball teams playing right now. Man, they're just some dogs. Man, they go for it. And TCU is a good school too. But Texas, they've just got it going. Man, I think they're a really mature team. I think they've got a lot of good players that know how to move the ball necessarily. And I'm not even just saying passing them, like scoring, blocks, steals, just players that know where the ball is at all times. And I love that. I think Texas, they just know what they're doing. And it's hard. I know that's kind of hard to maybe picture and imagine, but just imagine a really mature basketball team. That's going to be Texas Tech. So that being said, I'm going to go Texas Tech by quite a bit. I'm going to go Texas Tech 81, TCU 63.
Wow. So blowout. Okay. I kind of have the opposite. I think TCU is going to stun Texas Tech. Texas Tech is on a hot streak right now. They're currently placed at a 2 seed. I really have them winning the whole Big 12 tournament. But TCU, on the other hand, man, they're almost on their way out from the tournament. Like, they may not be able to make it. They're currently placed as a 10 seed, and if they lose a few more games, they might lose their place if they don't perform well in the Big 12 tournament. So, in my eyes, I think TCU is in do or die mode, and I think they're going to shock the world and stump the Red Raiders, but the Red Raiders aren't done yet. I think the Red Raiders are going to keep it going, and I think TCU is going to further solidify their stance in the tournament. I got TCU winning this one 63-57. 2 3-pointers. All right, so let's go ahead and go with Wisconsin and Rutgers. All these games are on Saturday, by the way. All these games we've selected, so lots of basketball to watch. The Badgers are really hot right now. They're currently placed at a 3 seed, and we saw that big report with them playing against Michigan. Got chippy at the end of the game, but then they face this Rutgers team who has a resume for teams that they shouldn't be beating. I mean, this Rutgers team made it to the tournament last year. I think they're a last 4 in team or they're on the bubble. So they're definitely needing this win to possibly get into the tournament. I'm going to go with Rutgers. I got them winning and shocking Wisconsin by 1 shot. I think it'll be 68-65. Tommy, what about you?
Ooh, yeah, I want to go Rutgers too, just because I think they've beaten Wisconsin before, 73-65. And they do have a resume for beating teams that they shouldn't be beating. But if we're going off pattern, usually teams like that, when they get beat by teams that they shouldn't get beat by, they come back and beat them just because they know, hey, what the heck? Why did we lose this game? So because of that reason, just going off pattern, I'm going to trust Wisconsin here as well as their hot streak. I do think Rutgers gives them a run for their money because now they've got this confidence. Hey, we've beaten you guys before. Why can't we do it again? But I still think I got Wisconsin pulling this out. It's going to be close, though. So let's go 78-70.
All righty.
In favor of
Another Big 12 matchup. Kansas at Baylor.
Ooh.
Kansas blew them out at the Fog last time, and now they're heading down to Waco. Man, I got to go with Kansas in this one. But I think it'll be close this time. I think Kansas will win this one 81-78. Kansas, I'm really high on Kansas this year. There's been times where I haven't when they've been ranked really high. But this year, I think it's different. They're very disciplined this year, and they don't drop games that they shouldn't, but this wouldn't be a game that they shouldn't drop. Baylor's a great basketball team, but this is going to further solidify them to possibly be a 1 seed and possibly take the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, gosh, man. So you're taking Kansas?
Yeah, I'll take Kansas by 3. I think I'm going to take them by 5, actually. Okay. 73-68, high scoring game.
Whew, okay. This is Tommy's game of the week, you guys. Kansas versus Baylor. This is the game of the week because this is the implications for this game for both teams are so high. Is Baylor legit, and is Kansas going to be that 1 seed? Either way, both teams will probably make the tournament, but still, it's basically who's more legit than the other guy, right? That's kind of what we're doing. So, man, this is so tough, man. This is so tough, but I think I got to go. I mean, and you're at Farrell Center as well. Okay, you know what? Just have some fun here. I do think Kansas loses to Baylor by 1 point. I think Baylor has the upper edge. They get a good inbound pass for a layup to win. I'm going, oh, man, this is so tough, Brandon. I'm going 65-63. Let's do it.
All righty.
Baylor. That's tough.
We got 4 more games here. We don't want to take too much of y'all's time, but we're going to get through these, get our analysis in. Creighton at Providence. Both of these teams are projected to make the tournament. Providence just had that crazy overtime win. I'm going to take Providence at home. I mean, they showed how resilient they were. Xavier truly played a better game against Providence, but Providence still ended up winning because of that home crowd. So I'm going to take Providence, but don't push Creighton out of the tournament. They're projected to be a 7 seed. So as long as they keep this game close with 11th ranked Providence, Friars, I believe, they should be good. So I got Providence winning this one by 8.
Nice.
71-63.
Nice. I almost have the exact same thing. I've got Providence winning by just a few. Creighton, very underrated team as far as college basketball goes. One of those sleeper teams. But Providence is just so hot right now. I don't see them losing to Creighton. But I do think it's close. I do think Creighton gives them a run for their money, at least for the majority of the game. So, yeah, I got it pretty close, too. I'm going to go Creighton. I'm going to go, Providence by 4. We're going to go 78-74 in favor of Providence.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. This is a game that I know you're going to be watching, Tommy. It doesn't seem that it's on any major network, which is unfortunate. Wish it was. Gonzaga, number 1 at Gonzaga at St. Mary's.
Yep.
Both of these teams are projected to make the tournament. St. Mary's is trying to get a higher seed and possibly trying to steal the Western Coast Conference title from Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Tommy, who do you have in this one?
You guys know I love St. Mary's. That was my underrated team when we were talking about March Madness last week. I love St. Mary's, so I want to go them. And you know what? I think I will, just because, guys, I have faith in St. Mary's and Gonzaga. This Gonzaga seems tough, man. And you've got Drew, who also has finals experience. He's coming back after last year's loss, and he's hungry. But man, I got faith in St. Mary's. I think St. Mary's beats Gonzaga by just a couple points. Gonzaga loses steam here, but they come back and really murder things as far as the March Madness goes. So that being said, I got St. Mary's winning by 4 due to some fouls at the end against Gonzaga, and it's going to be a very, very high-scoring game. So I'm going to go St. Mary's 80, Gonzaga 76.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm going to take Gonzaga. I mean, they're the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah.
I have really high confidence in them this year. They're just a great team all around. Great freshmen this year, especially with Chet, that 7-footer. So I'm really confident in the Zags' chances in this one. So I'm going to take this one. I think they'll be losing in the first half by quite a few, by 10 plus maybe. And then they're going to come back and win it. So I got them winning 73-68. Close one. And part 3 will be in the Western Coast Championship.
Yeah.
We got 2 more matchups here. They're not as big, but they're definitely important. Let's talk about number 16, USC, at Oregon. Oregon is currently a first 4 team out. So with a top 25 win at home, that'll definitely get you to be at least a last 4 in, or or just be on the bubble or closer to it. So I'm going to go with Oregon here. I mean, I just think they're like, the time is now. It's do or die. They want to make it. In USC, I mean, they just haven't really shown me that they're a team that really wants it that bad. I know they're 23-4, but they haven't had the strongest of schedules this year. But I got Oregon in this one, 58-55.
Okay, nice. I'm going to go against you here and go USC. I actually really like USC. I think USC could be a very important team. Well, they will be a very important team this tournament. I think they could turn a couple heads, make some noise. I think Oregon loses steam. I think they're a little nervous because they know that, their championship title is just getting further and further away from them as far as, March Madness goes. So I do have USC beating Oregon, and I have them beating Oregon by, nothing crazy, but a decent amount. I'm going to go by 12. So I'm going to go Oregon 60, USC 72.
Nice. All right. Final matchup, our only Sunday game that we're covering. Number 14, Houston, hosting SMU Mustangs. SMU beat Houston in overtime a few weeks back and really shocked them. Houston was in the top 10, and now they're a top 15 team. So they're trying to get revenge. And this game is ultimately going to decide the American Athletic Conference regular season title. And SMU is looking to take it. And it's going to be a great matchup. Lots of high tensions. It may get chippy in this one. But I'm going to take the Cougars. They have a good history of winning their second game after losing the first in conference play. So I'm going to take the Cougars actually winning this one by a lot, 71-58.
Nice. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to take the Houston Cougars. SMU, as much as I want to pick them for an upset, the teams that they have played don't even come close to Houston. So for that reason, I got Houston as well. I don't have them by too much, though. I do think SMU tries to beat Houston, and they get pretty close, but they do not succeed. So I'm going to go Houston 64, SMU 60.
Wow. 11 games went right through it. Love it.
There we go.
We hope y'all enjoyed that analysis. One more thing before we close. Tommy and I are just going to give our teams to watch this weekend. I'll go ahead and go first. I would keep an eye on Auburn. I mean, they've had a pretty tough week. They didn't perform too well against Ole Miss. They figured it out in the second half. They lost to Florida on the road, a team that was really not projected to make the tournament, but now they are because they beat the number 3 team in the country. But this game against Arkansas is going to be Tennessee on the road is going to be a very big teller. Tennessee gets really loud, so it's going to be fire and tribulation for them. It's really going to show the gold that comes out to see how legit Auburn is. So be watching them this weekend. What about you, Tommy?
Yeah, I love that, Brandon. So last week I had St. Mary's, which they played tonight against San Diego. So we're still looking for that prediction. St. Mary's was my team to watch in the last episode. This episode, I'm going Duke. You guys. I think Duke could be very deadly this tournament. They're winning a lot of their games. They're gonna play Syracuse this week, this Saturday actually. I think they're the team you got to watch, man. I think they're ranked a little lower than they should be. Duke, they just have that experience, they have that maturity, and they have players that want to win. They have some of the best players in the country. So for that reason alone, I'm saying Duke's the team to watch. Keep an eye on them. If they beat Syracuse, I think they're a good pick to go pretty deep in the tournament. And they're only going more up and up as far as points go. So I love Duke. I love what I'm seeing from them, and I'm going to go Duke this week.
Cool. Well, that about wrap things up for today. Expect a big recap on Tuesday. 11 games, y'all, 22 teams, and almost all of these teams are in the tournament. So we're definitely going to talk about these. Maybe not all of them, but just ones that stick out. But yeah, we're excited to get to that.
Yeah, guys, we're super, super pumped. As we get closer and closer to March Madness, still just want to advise that, if you want to get more into March Madness, if you want to get your money from your bracket, listen to us. Listen to the bracketologists. We've got, although, we may have a little bit of an upper edge because, we're at the same age as these players. We understand that, okay, you got to go drop 50 in this game, and then you got to go do your algebra homework. We love March Madness. So we every listener, whether it's 1 or 100, we're grateful for you guys. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. Once again, Brandon, thanks so much for letting me come on and talk college basketball with you. Of
course.
And yeah, I'm super pumped. Like I know I say that all the time that I'm pumped, but I am. It's my favorite, and I think it's Brandon's favorite too. There's just nothing like March Madness. Just the vibes in the air during March Madness is unmatched. So
absolutely. And the next time we'll be recording, it'll be March 1st. So be ready, y'all, on Tuesday. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Peace.
See you guys.
This has been The Bracketologist, presented by Anchor. We'll see you guys next time.